Is your boy Cheap Ludes. I am live over on Twitch. Unless you're watching this on YouTube, of course. That means I am not live over on Twitch. Well, I guess depending on when you're watching it, I could potentially be live on Twitch. It really depends on the time and how I'm feeling. But we're going to be ranking the best power forwards in NBA 2K22. My team today. We're also going to play some Unlimited later. So, if you're watching a VOD and you don't really feel like watching me do the tier list thing, go ahead and skip forward into the future like 30 minutes or whatever. Anyways, those of you who have been following the channel for a while or have been watching the series as I've been unrolling it for the past few days, you guys know the drill already. We're going to be ranking every single power forward, at least the best ones anyway. I am going to be not paying attention to chat for a little bit, so speaking to the ether. S tier, unquestionable best cards in the game. These guys are top tier. I will explain why they're there. A tier, just a shade under S tier. Maybe they have one or two minor flaws, of which I will explore. B tier, this is what majority of the community is basically going to be using guys in this tier. Now, at the power forward, it's kind of weird. A lot of people use like small forwards or centers here, but either way, I will touch on it. C tier. These guys are competent enough, but they do have some drawbacks. They're not quite as good as the B tier guys. I will talk about that. Or they're outdated. D tier, same deal. They do one or two things really, really well, or, they're just not really it at this point. And then F tier. It's F tier. I don't think any card aside from one card in this game is really trash. They all have some sort of use, but whether that be draft mode or lower overall cheesing or theme teams or something, everyone has a use at this point. So let's get started. I also try to rank between gens, which is kind of tough right now after the patch, but I'm trying to keep my rankings still fluid. I also try to rank cards as in they're not badged up, because any card badged up is going to be better. Nicholas Batum, B tier. Look, I have my issues with this Batum card. He does infuriate me at times. He seems to like to step over the three-point line quite often for no reason, and not in like the Carmelo Anthony way where anytime you shoot, it's going to be over the line and be a long two. But he does it while he's just scrambling and running around on the perimeter. He'll just randomly decide to cut in and step over the line right before he gets the pass for the three. Really infuriating. Andre Karolinko does that a lot too. I don't know. They seem to be the only cards in the game that do it. Like Chris Mullin never does it. It must be some sort of tendency. Either way, Nicholas Batum is incredibly good. He's a very, very solid slasher. He attacks the rim at a high clip. He plays pretty good defense. He's a decent rebounder. His jumper is fine. He's going to be towards the top of B tier, if I had to guess. Some people would put him in A tier. I'll keep him in B. Amari Stoudemire. Amari gives me no hope when thinking about the upcoming domination that we're getting in Season 3, because this card was not very good. He's not the worst card in the world, but he's not it. I wish we get a good Amari Stoudemire card, at least early enough where it makes sense to use him. Because typically by the time we get like a very well-rounded Amari Stoudemire, or a Stoudemire that's very solid in general, with a decent ball handle and like an okay enough three, usually it's like way past the time that I would use him. Masked Andre Karolinko, I would put him in A tier. AK is still one of the best defensive cards in the game. That gold blinders is really clutch for him as well. He does need some shooting guards to really start to be like overpowered. But at a 50K price tag, he's a very, very good value as well. Bob Pettit, the hairiest man to ever exist in the NBA. I'm just convinced of it. Vlade Divac looks like a very furry individual as well. I would put Bob Pettit in C tier. If you value like slashing and dunking, then you're going to like stat more. If you like to spread the floor, Bob Pettit's still there. He has an abysmal lateral quickness, but he's still relatively okay. C tier makes sense, I think. Miles Bridges, B. He's still really good. He was way too expensive for a long period of time, but his price has calmed down a little bit. He's just a little bit small, but he's solid. The best way I can describe him is he's like slightly better Jay Crowder, basically. Bojan, D. I like Bojan a lot, and for draft mode, he's probably like C compared to what you normally get, but no defense. He's just all shooting, and for that reason, I'd put him in D tier. He fits the parameter. Same with Brian Cook. Bojan is superior to Brian Cook. Brian Cook is a little bit better rebounder and defender, but Bojan is a significantly better jump shooter. I would still put them both in D tier. I liked Brian Cook a lot when he came out. Chris Bosh, C. I mean, you could make an argument that maybe he belongs in B tier. I just think there's enough wrong with him, and he's just a little bit outdated. I would put him in C. Paul Silas, A. Absolutely. This card is an enigma. I've never actually received it myself. I don't know many people who have. But he is absolutely godly. He's just a little bit undersized. That's about it. But Paul Silas is a monster. I hope that we have another chance to get him. I mean, by the time that would even happen, though, he'll be well outdated anyway. I've been trying to play TTO. I just cannot get this dude to drop. I haven't even seen Rod Strickland. Carl Malone. F. This should just be renamed Carl Malone tier, because anyone that gets put in here deserves to be lumped in with him. Robert Horry. See, Robert Horry's really good, actually. Like, I actually hope we get a diamond Robert Horry in like season 3, where it's like viable to use him. Once we get to like Dark Matters and we have like small forward Thon Makers and like, you know, like other abysmal things like that, Robert Horry's not a card that we're ever going to use. But if we can get him early enough, which 2K has done a really good job of this year, we could see Robert Horry be relatively good. Jay Crowder. I would put him in B tier, honestly. He'll be like towards the end if I don't move him down to C, but he's just like slightly worse Miles Bridges, basically. Same style of player build. Like Jay Crowder's a little bit better of a defender, but Miles Bridges is a little better at attacking the rim. I would put him in B. Chris Webber, too. I would also throw him in B tier. Chris Webber is one of the more slept on cards this year. He's really good, just like he is every year. He can handle the ball, he can shoot, he can dunk, he can play in the post. There's nothing really wrong with this card. He's just not overly good. Danny Manning. D. Like, he's got a great player build, but he can't play small forward and he can't really shoot that well. He does have a decent jump shot, though. Dario Saric. I mean, I'd probably put him in like D as well, I think, to be honest. Let me drink some of this Arnold Palmer sweet tea. Half and half. I don't know why I keep buying it. I think it's going to be delicious, and then it's not. Serge Ibaka. He's still good enough to be C tier. I still like this card a lot. I mean, he's got a good jump shot. He's great defensively. Nice player build. That's about it, though. Dolph Schayes. Masked Dolph Schayes, S tier. Unmasked Dolph Schayes, A tier. The reason I say that is this Dolph Schayes has near end game defensive tendencies, while this one has pretty terrible defensive tendencies. They're the same card. Other than that, this one also has gold blinders. There's a reason this one is significantly more than this one. Domantas Sabonis. It's not that this card is completely terrible. Well, I mean, he is really bad. But it really is more so that all of these guys in D tier are way better, and Sabonis always just plays better as a center. I don't understand why he's power forward only. Donyell Marshall. Look, I'm higher on this card than a lot of people are. That being said, Robert Horry is still superior, so I'll put him in D tier. Draymond. I mean, still C tier. He's not great, but he can still hold it down. Oh, I see the Giannis's. The Giannisai? I don't know how to say like a gang of Giannis's. Anyways, Giannis Mystic is A tier. Giannis NBA 75 is S tier. The reason for that is just the badge additions. Look, I don't rank cards based on badge additions, but when it comes to two of the same card, if one can have certain badges applied to it while another one can't, I will factor that into the ranking. And for that reason, I would put them as so. Jabari Parker. He's not good. I feel like he's better than Donyell Marshall and Bojan. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in C tier. He's better than these guys in D. He's just not very good. Larry Legend. Oh, absolutely C tier. This Larry Bird's not great, but he's a free TTO card, and he's decent for a Ruby. Jamal Mashburn. Yeah, B tier. I mean, you could argue he's better than Nicholas Batum. I think he actually might be at the power forward position specifically, but I don't know. That's really personal preference. He's a Grant Hill clone that's a little bit bigger. Mashburn's tight, though. He never gets any love in 2K, so I'm glad to see him get some shine this year. James Worthy, as much as I liked this card when he came out, like, I'll be the first to admit he's not very good at this point. Jeff Green, he may be outdated, but Jeff Green is fire. I would put him in C tier. He's better than Jabari for sure. Jermaine O'Neal, if we're talking strictly next gen, with paint, like paint smashing being a little bit more like usable, I would put him somewhere in like the middle of C tier. But combined, I would probably put him in D tier. He doesn't really bring you a whole lot. No, he's a little bit better than that. I would put him like right here. He's decent. He's great defensively. He can shoot the mid range too. He just can't shoot the three. Big Blake, right next to Amari Stoudemire. If you're gonna switch these two around, you can. I don't know. Paul Millsap. I really think this one might be controversial, but Millsap's actually good enough to be in B tier. I really like Millsap cards in the early game. Like, this card's really nice. He's got the size to play the power forward. He rebounds well. He can shoot. He can kind of dunk a little bit too. Non-masked Karolinko, B. I know. Why is the masked one above this one? The reason I say that is that gold blinders does make a big difference, and I have my issues with Andre Karolinko as is anyway. So I might move him up. I'm not sure about that. That gold blinders is so important on Andre Karolinko. He's one of the best defensive cards in the game, really. But I can't say that this one is that much better than Batum and Jamal Mashburn, if he even is. He is definitely with gold blinders, though. I will say that. Jerry Lucas. I mean, see, he's okay. Put him like right above Draymond. Once again, just like Bob Pettit, just an absolutely abysmal lateral quickness, but he's a decent power forward other than that. Jonathan Isaac. So I am not kidding. I really do think that Jonathan Isaac is this good. I know that I say he's overrated, which I think he is. I truly believe this card is overrated, but that doesn't mean he's not good. Like, a card can be both good and overrated. Michael Jordan is a perfect example of a person who is both great and overrated at the same time. I still believe Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time, but there are people who legitimately think he would come and score 70 points a game in today's NBA, which is not accurate. Jonathan Isaac is fantastic, and for 900 MT, I think he's the best value card in this game, and can more than hold his own against really anybody on this list, but we have to be realistic here. B tier is still appropriate. Josh Smith, this one's going to hurt people's feelings, but C tier. Josh Smith is outdated. He can't really shoot. You can't give him any shooting badges. He's pretty good defensively. He's got an easy to green jump shot, but we're well past that point. Julius Randle, I love this card. He's not a good defender, but he's basically a super cracked out version of like Jabari Parker. What Jabari Parker brings to your team, Julius Randle brings it tenfold, basically. Anton Jameson. I feel like he's not worse than Jay Crowder and Paul Millsap. Like, really? I feel like he's not. He's probably right there with these guys. I like Jonathan Isaac's player build more, so I would put him ahead of him. But Jameson is one of the more underrated cards that we've gotten this entire year. I think he gets no love, but he was really solid. Juwan Howard. Yeah, I'd put him in D tier. Great player build, but that's about it. Kenyon Martin's a great defensive card. I think he deserves to be in D tier. He's got a greenable release too, but I don't think I want to put him in C tier. Lamar Odom, once again, controversial. I do think Lamar Odom is B tier. He gets no love as well, but I think he deserves to be B tier for sure. Oh, all right. First off, let me put Larry Bird in B tier because that's where he belongs. I personally think Jamal Mashburn is slightly better than him. It's a personal opinion. And now we got Garnett. Garnett is very tough to rank. He is one of the best defensive cards in the game. I would say, to a certain extent, he's actually a better defender than Andre Karolinko because he can eat paint mashing. He has an atrociously slow release on next gen. On current gen, it's fine. He does need shooting badges, but he can shoot. He's not going to handle the ball. I would still put him in A tier, though. He's really good. I would say he's like the worst card in A tier, but I think he deserves to be there. Maybe I'll drop him to B tier. I know people hate his release. I find it not that bad, though. Clark Kellogg. He's the best card in D tier, just because I like his name. Lauri Markkanen. He can shoot, and for that reason, I'll keep him out of F tier. He doesn't belong down here with Karl Malone. And I'm sorry, Domantas Sabonis, but the fact that you can't play center, you belong in Karl Malone tier for that. Dennis Rodman. Rodman's still good enough to be C tier. This is one of my favorite cards all year. That's how you know I'm not biased, okay? I'm taking a card that I have consistently said is one of my favorite cards in the entire game, and I'm putting him in C tier, so you can't call me biased. Michael Porter Jr. I think he's better than all the D tier guys. I would use Michael Porter Jr. over James Worthy. Yeah, I'd use him over Daniel Marshall, Bojan, Kenyon. Robert Covington. B, for sure. I feel like that's not controversial. I feel like we all kind of agree with Robert Covington. Evoed or non-evoed, he's still B tier, probably in the same place. Nemanja Bjelica. I don't think I'm saying that right, but I actually think this card's way better than you would expect. I'm going to go ahead and put Robert Horry above. Yeah, I like Robert Horry a lot. I'm going to put him up here. Bjelica's really solid, but he's just, it is what it is. He's a 3-point sniper, got a big player build, kind of slow. Pascal Siakam, he's just a little outdated. He's still like the best card in D tier, though, I think. Dirk Nowitzki, I think he's one of the best pick and pop bigs in the game still, and he gets almost like no love whatsoever. He is a little bit slow on his feet, but he's got a decent enough jump shot. He can handle the ball a little bit. He's pretty good. Like, if you used this Dirk Nowitzki card, the thing is, most people that trashed him probably have never even picked the card up. They just heard their favorite creator say he's trash. And is he like a top 10 card in the game? No. Is he a top 10 card in his own position? Clearly not. But he's still a really solid card, and if you can pick him up for cheap, he can definitely help with certain playstyles for sure. Rick Barry. He's so bad, dude. He's probably better than D tier. I'd probably put him in like C. I would put him in C. He's better than these guys. He's just, I hate this card. He's so bad. Like, I would probably use him over Amari Stoudemire. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's appropriate. Rui is outdated, but he's actually pretty good. If you've used this card, which not many people have because he was a, spin card, he's really decent. Sean Kemp. Yeah, right by Chris Webber, I would say. He's actually better than Chris Webber. Certain instances, he's better than Larry Bird, but I would put him right here. Kemp's still good. Kemp's always solid in 2K. Anthony Davis. I would throw him low A tier. He still brings you kind of a combination of things that not a lot of guys bring you in this game. The combination of defense, athleticism, and stretching the floor is very rare. At this stage, it's starting not to be anymore because we're starting to get guys like KG that can kind of do all those things as well. Anthony Davis can even handle the ball a little bit. He is a little bit sluggish, but he's still good enough to be A tier, I think. I don't think any of these guys are leaps and bounds better than each other. Like, they're all better at different things. Like, if you're looking for pure defense and athleticism, you're going to go Giannis. If you're looking for floor stretching, you're going to go Dolph. If you're looking for more of a combo forward that's going to attack the rim, you're going to go Karolinko. You know what I mean? Paul Silas to that certain extent as well. If you're looking for pure defense and a little bit of spot up shooting, you're going to go with Kevin Garnett. And if you're looking for more of an offensive kind of multi-threat, you're going to go with Anthony Davis. Tim Duncan, I think he's still good enough in the post on next gen that he deserves to be C tier. Like, he is a paint monster 100%. He's just outdated. Tom Chambers, for having a mullet this sick, you absolutely get C tier. And then Zion. I would put Zion in super, super low B tier because, in my opinion, he's just slightly better Josh Smith. Like, and the reason I say that is he brings you more ball handling. He brings you better shooting. He brings you pretty much the same level of defense, honestly. Like, they both have wide player builds. Josh Smith has better defensive animations, but that's about it. Other than that, Zion's better in every way, so I'd put him right here. So anyways, let me know what you think of the list down below or feverishly in the comments as I'm recording this live. Drop a like on this video, follow the stream, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with the center tier list later. Peace.